From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with RJ Broadhead.
Great to have you with us. This is Ticats Today. I'm RJ Broadhead, and it's the off-season for the players. Coaches are starting to ramp it up a bit. GMs are pretty busy, but there's no off-season for strength and conditioning coaches, and this is a great time to catch up with Marcellus Bowman, the Tiger Cats head strength and conditioning coach. Marcellus, how have you been?
I've been awesome. How you doing?
I'm good. I'll never forget the first time we got talking. I think it was at training camp last year, and I mentioned I had lost 40 pounds, and the look on your face, I'll never forget it. Your eyes went wide. You couldn't believe it.
Oh, 100%. I've worked with a lot of people, and 40 pounds is not an easy task. Like, I know there are some days and some nights where, okay, ice cream is sounding like a great idea. So, no, it takes a special person to lose that much weight.
Well, I appreciate it. I told Luke Tasker, who I work with, who does the color commentary, Luke, and he said, "Oh, I didn't even recognize." So I guess I held it well when I had the extra weight on.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to take that one, but hey, you checked 40-pound mark, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that accurate, what I said off the top about there really is no off season for a strength and conditioning coach? Give us a rundown. It's January, it's 4 months from training camp. So what are you busy doing?
So right now, we're going to enter block 3 of training camp. Now, block is a 4-week period. So the initial part of the off season is just rest and recovery, both mentally, emotionally, physically. Guys are just resting and recovering. And then we kind of get the ball rolling with some training that kind of puts the body back together again. And then now we're starting to enter the performance side of things. We're now, okay, the body's fully recovered from last year's trauma, that is football. And then now we're trying to really improve the performance of the players. So now guys are really starting to hit their stride, starting to lift some heavier weights, more intense sprinting and change direction. So, yeah, we're in a good spot right now.
So do you personalize a workout for all the players, or is it generally the same?
So the emphasis is the same across the team. So if it's like a conditioning emphasis or a strength or power emphasis, that's what's uniform across the team. But as far as the actual exercise that's selected, some of the sets and reps, those will change based off the person. And of course, if there's a person who has maybe they incurred an injury, in the previous season, I'll adjust things for them. Or the quarterbacks are especially a special case because they have a very unique style of training, but just because of the skill set that's necessary to play quarterbacks. You can't put a quarterback under a bench and expect his shoulder to make it through a season. You got to be smart about things.
Yeah, that makes sense. So 40, 50, 60 guys, how many guys are you in touch with? That seems like a lot of work to get these workouts.
Yeah, so a lot of the team, they have their own coaches that they've worked with over the course of years. And of course, this is my first time with the Ticats, so it takes some time to build up some trust with the players. But I would say I'm working with about slightly less than half, maybe half of the team at this point. The thing that's awkward is because the training camp is not set yet. Oh, training camp, I'm sorry, free agency isn't set yet.
Yeah.
Guys are kind of in a weird position. But typically after free agency, things really start to get ramped up as far as like the communication picks up a little bit. But it's about half of the guys right now that I'm in communication with.
Yeah, well, which is still a lot, and I'm sure that's a busy schedule. And a bit of background on you. You played with the Tiger Cats. You played in the CFL, and now a strength and conditioning coach. Maybe take us through how you went from a player and now into this line of work.
Yeah, so I've always been when I was playing, I was an athlete who I trusted the work more than I trusted my skill. Now, I was a skilled athlete. I was physically blessed. I was athletic, definitely. So I don't want to act like I wasn't, a good athlete. But as far as me just leaning on my talent to take me where I wanted to go, I didn't think it was to that degree. And I felt like I could work my way there. And I had in my opinion, pain tolerance was higher than most.
Yep. David Goggins.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I've always had a love and appreciation for training. And then towards the end of my career, I had a pretty bad knee issue, and it was going to basically end my career after 3 years. but I was able to squeak out another 2 just because of how much I was able to learn about the body.
Wow.
And what transitioned me into coaching is, if I would have met this version of me while I was still playing, and I could have asked those questions that I need, those answers that I needed to know, I would have been so indebted to that person, and I would have been so thankful because you gave me the answers that I needed so I can do what I love. So I just want to be that to people. I want to be to them what I didn't have when I was playing, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so after I was done playing, I called my strength and conditioning coach from college. He was the head strength coach at Washington at the time, then the Bears. And he had a good friend at Auburn University. So less than a year later, I was down there and I was coaching in college.
Well, that's amazing. And this was your first year as the strength and head strength and conditioning coach of the Tiger Cats. Your football background, your playing background, that clearly is an asset for the role you're in now.
Most definitely. I feel very blessed to not have to lean on theory and protocol to make
Hmm.
decisions in football. And that's no knock to any coach that didn't play collegiately or professionally, but I feel like my perspective is extremely useful, and I lean on it as far as my experience as a football player. Because the thing I think that's challenging and that most people don't understand when it comes to being a CFO player is, for example, take a rookie, right? A rookie just played his collegiate year, and then he went to a bowl game, played in that, and then as opposed to resting, now he has to get ready for his pro day, so he immediately starts training. And then after pro day, you have the NFL workouts, and after that, then you have NFL training camp. You get cut from there, then you go to CFO training camp, and then hopefully you make the team. And there's another 18 games in the CFL, and then maybe more considering the playoffs. And then to add on top of that, what you do when you are on the practice roster as far as how you take care of your body is different than what you do when you're a backup, and it's different than what you do as a starter, and it's different than what you do when you're coming back from injury. So it takes guys sometimes years to learn how to take care of your body as a professional, because there's a lot of little nuances where you just can't plug and play when it comes to training and different things like that. So that's where a lot of my job, and I find a lot of joy in my job, is being able to simplify their journey. Okay, you're in this stage of your training. You just went from practice roster to now you're starting. Okay, this is a big shock. Do this, do that, do this. Don't do this and don't do that. And then I think that helps a lot of players because it's hard to find out the hard way.
Well, that is fascinating. And I've talked to athletes in other sports, and a lot of them say they don't hardly work out during the season. It's more of a maintenance and work out really hard going in. What's it like for football players? Because it is such a physical sport. It's one game a week, but you're practicing most of the time in between.
Yeah.
Are guys working out heavily, or does it vary by the person?
It definitely varies by the person and the skill set. What I will say is that, for example, the bigger guys, the bigger athletes, the O linemen, D linemen, fullbacks, tight ends, so on and so forth, linebackers, they're more likely to get under the bar and lift some weight. Whereas the skill guys, they're more likely to do some more conditioning and stuff on the field, right? Just because like what's demanded of them based on their position. But a lot of guys are pretty consistent last year in the gym. I was really happy to see that. You have guys with their routine. The beautiful thing about last year that I can't wait to tell the team next year is the guys that were the most consistent in the weight room, right? This is not me being biased. I have actual evidence now. The guys that were the most consistent in the weight room were also the guys that performed at a high level for the entirety of the season. So, I have a clear understanding. I can write out a lot of Jameer Thurman's workout right now because I just remember him. He came in and he did the same thing all the time, leading tackler. Same thing with JB. JB came in, he did his shoulder work, he did his plyometrics, box jumps, different things like that. And of course, first hike at the run for 1,000 yards in quite a while. You have Stab, and we would go up there in the morning, he would do his workout, we would go on the jugs and catch a couple hundred balls each week, and of course, 5 interceptions. So, like, I don't want to say it's causal, 'cause I'm not going to speak that confidently, but there's a correlation between guys who are very disciplined about how they take care of their body and their ability to perform on the field.
Yeah, it's not coincidence when you see results like that, and
Yeah,
all the guys you mentioned, fantastic seasons. I really like
yeah,
talking to Jameer Thurman. He was always all business, even
all
after a win.
business.
Nope, we got to be better. There's still lots to improve on. You
Yeah,
got to love
that's
guys like
Jameer.
that. Like
Yeah,
you played, to have guys like that in the locker room that never satisfied. There's always room for improvement.
yeah, never comfortable. You can't get comfortable. That's when you get passed up.
Absolutely. Well, you're listening to Ticats Today. I'm RJ Broadhead with Marcellus Bowman, the head strength and conditioning coach of the Tiger Cats. And um, optics. I've thought about this during the season, too, and calling games and seeing you down there and getting the guys ready for the game, whether it be in practice or before the game. Um, you're big. If you're just listening to Ticats Today and can't see Marcellus, he's a big man. He's very fit.
Mhm.
And when you're working with football players who are alphas, they're some of the strongest guys, some of the most fit guys, some of the most intense guys, to get their attention and to be able to get your message across, does it help to look the part, to be big and strong, and they can say, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, because look at him.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
before you speak, they can visually see that there's a there's a guy who knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think that's a big deal, especially for any coach. Um, you know, being a strength conditioning coach is unique in that to be a great defensive backs coach, you don't have to backpedal and cover receivers to prove to the players that you're good, you know? But I feel like as a strength and conditioning coach, it's important that I put myself through what the players are going to experience. So like when I'm programming for them, I'm making a program or a workout for them, I've already felt that. I know what it feels like to do, 8 waves of squats. I know what that feels like. So it's not just me throwing things out there. When it comes to the nutrition side of things, when a guy needs to gain or lose weight, every off season I do a bulking season and a cutting season, so I can maintain the skill set of what it feels like to have to gain weight and primarily muscle and lose weight that's primarily fat. So for me, it's really important that I practice to preach as much as possible, so that, of course, one, the optics are what they are. That kind of helps with the body language side of things and the buy-in. But number two, when I speak, it's not, once again, based off of theory. I know what it feels like, and I have experience with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, how often are you working out in the off season?
So right now I do 3 full body workouts per week. Schedule doesn't allow for shorter, more frequent workouts, so I do less frequent, longer workouts. So 3 full body workouts per week. Everything else is mobility and recovery, and I place a large emphasis on nutrition. The better your nutrition is, the less intensely you have to train, right? Because
Yes.
it's almost like getting taxed, right? You kind of make your money without getting taxed. You take home everything, in other words. So I try to put a
I
big
like that.
emphasis on the nutrition side of things. So everything I work for, I keep.
And did I see that you have your own protein powder?
That's correct. Yeah, I just
T-
launched it not too long ago. That's correct.
So what's special about it?
So number one, it's for athletes. So in other words, it's free of all banned substances. And that was the very first thing I was looking for, was a manufacturer that was Informed Choice certified or NSF certified. I want to make sure I can give it to anyone with full confidence. So that's number one. Number two is that when you look at the ingredient list, it's not a bunch of trash in there. I can take a guy to Fortino's or Popeyes and put my protein up against a lot of the other competition, and we look at that ingredient list, and you see a lot of trash and fillers in the other ones, and mine is exactly what you need. And also, I also give mine with a program too, so you
Uh-huh.
know how to kind of get the most out of it.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, because I've and maybe there's other people out there in the same boat as me, trying to find protein powders that aren't sweetened with some harmful substances. What
Yeah.
sweetener do you use?
So right now it's stevia and a little bit of sucralose, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough to find a protein powder that is doesn't have some form
Yeah.
of sugar in it, and
Exactly.
there's so many different names for the sugars now, that
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
not on top of it, you think, oh,
Yeah.
this is fine. I don't see
Yeah.
sugar written on here.
Exactly. Yeah. The whole entire supplement industry is full of tricks and exaggerations, to say the least. And I had a supplement company before I came up here, and I sold out of everything, and now I'm kind of redoing it all over again. But when it comes to supplements, the first thing I tell everyone to look at is, don't look at the advertising in the front. Look at the ingredients in the back. There's where all the truth is, right? Don't fall for
Yeah,
the advertisement, but at the same time, you kind of have to know what you're looking for too.
yeah, absolutely, and it's so important, like you said, to get the right nutrition for the body, so you're not wasting those workouts and putting bad
Exactly.
calories back in.
Exactly.
With with you, do you find that you like the hours you put in? Every time I'm at the stadium, you're always there. So
Yeah.
are you there early in the? Because I think I was told that JB James Butler is there at 6 in the morning a lot of times doing
Mhm.
workouts, and I'm sure there's other
Yeah.
guys in that boat. Are you there right when everybody else is and staying right until everybody's gone, or can you let the guys be a little independent?
Yeah, I'm normally one of the, if not the first person, one of the first ones to show up at the stadium. The only one that typically beats me is Mark Washington. I think he might sleep there. Seriously, I never arrive and he's not there already. But anyways,
Well, it
I
looks
wake
like
up at
he's no stranger to the gym either.
not at all, not at all. He's put together. He's put
Yeah.
together. But I wake up at 4 o'clock every day, 4 o'clock in the morning every day, and I get there typically by 4:45, 5 at the latest. And I like to be there one so I don't have to rush. And then two, if I need to set up anything for anybody, I can do that. If I got to knock out a quick program, I have time for that. And then the guys typically start filing in around 5 or 5:30, 5 to 5:30, and a lot of guys are in by 6. And some guys train after, but the thing is, I don't stay as long as Mark Washington. I'll leave, a couple hours after practice, after we do our debriefs and so on and so forth, and I work out a few guys.
Well, there's another example of hard work pays off. Mark Washington, the
Yeah,
defense is always very strong for the Tiger Cats.
that's right.
Um, you so you said you get up at 4 in the morning. I saw one of your posts that that 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. window is a great time to get some stuff done. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, that's before the world wakes up. And the number one thing, in my opinion, as far as what slows people down from achieving whatever your goal is distraction. Back in the day, it might have been something else, but because of technology, because of this phone, our computers, distraction to me is the number one culprit to slowing down someone's journey to success. So I try to wake up before the world wakes up so I can first do me. I can do anything that I need to do that's really mentally intensive, and then once I get the most, difficult things out the way, whether that's a workout or programming, whatever the case is, and the world wakes up at 7:30, I can fully give myself to them without reservation, right? So that block of time, the first 3 hours in the morning, is everything.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's and you mentioned getting there early. I think of all the time with the
Yeah,
uncontrollable factors and the controllable factors.
that's right.
Being early is a controllable factor. You can
Mm,
control that one.
100%. If you want to, you'll get there.
So I want to ask you, Marcellus, and you can not mention names if you don't want to. But are there a couple of guys that maybe some listeners see them on the field, but that are maybe above and beyond what a normal human strength is, or endurance, or anybody stand out to
So when I first think of freaks of nature, the first one would honestly be Tim White.
you? Yeah.
Um, the thing that's freaky about him is two things. One, his heels, the back of his heels, never touch the ground. He's always on his toes.
Huh.
And I just watching him move encouraged me to go study fascia and different things in different systems in the body because it didn't make sense. And one thing that's very special about him is, week one, day four, we do our walkthroughs. Everybody else is walking through the plays. He's running and jumping and spinning and doing 360s in the air. And I'm like, okay, it's week one of the season. He's excited. Week 14, he's doing the same thing. Week 17, he's doing the same thing. Playoffs, he's doing the same. It's special. So, from a conditioning standpoint, Tim White is special. Um, Another guy that's pound for pound special is Mo Diallo. Mo Diallo was blessed physically. For a guy his size to be able to move as well as he moves, it's pretty impressive. So he's another one who, whether you're in the weight room, whether you're on the field, you just see that he's different. And the more reps he gets at this game, I think we'll see a lot of good things out of him. Um, who else is there off the top of my head? Um,
Everybody's amazing, but to be
yeah,
able to be above and beyond in a professional sport is
yeah.
pretty special.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Same Kenneth George, he was special. Just his fluidity throughout the entire year, and the amount of
Was,
strength that he had.
was he the guy that would warm up before games without a shirt on?
Yeah, no matter what the weather was,
Yeah.
30 degrees or 2 degrees, he was out there in the same thing. At the most, he had a little skull cap on.
Yeah.
But
Well,
he
if
had
you
that
look
shirt
like
off.
that, you should forget a shirt. You don't need a
No,
shirt when you you
exactly.
worked
Yeah.
hard to look like that.
Yeah. If I was 23 and I look like that, I might have my shirt off too. So, no, I get it. Yeah.
Well, so what's take us through. You mentioned that you're in the third block of training.
Mhm.
We're, let's say, 4 months away from training camp. What are these next 3.5, 4 months? What are they going to be like for you?
So right now, it's making sure that the guys are lifting the weight in a quality way. The previous block, once again, was kind of the last bit of the foundation being set, and now we're starting to transition into performance work. So with performance work, it's higher risk, higher reward. So we got to make sure that guys are moving with high quality movement. So that'll be what I'm looking for whenever I'm working with the guys, is making sure they're moving the weight correctly. Because if the weight is moving correctly, they're getting all the benefit and none of the potential dangers of lifting weights and going hard in the gym. So that's what this block is kind of focused on, is making sure we get that weight, that heavy weight over their bodies, and make sure they can move it. And then as we get closer to the season, the movements get more explosive. We spend less time in the weight room and more time outside on the field, covering ground and actually playing football. Because football is unique where, in basketball, you can find five random people on the street and go play a pickup game, whereas you can't do that with football. Football needs to be a lot more structured. So, as we get closer to the season, I'll just keep reaching out to the local guys, and we'll keep trying to sync our calendar so we can get either to the, an indoor field, or if the one that once it kind of unfreezes, we get to our field and, start playing football before the season gets here.
Well, this was a great chat, Marcellus, and now I'm motivated. I got to go have a workout. You fired me
There we
up.
go.
I'm ready to go hit the weights.
Yeah, let's chase greatness. I like it. Let's do it.
All right, thanks, Marcellus.
My pleasure.
Marcellus Bowman, head strength and conditioning coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I'm RJ Broadhead. Thanks for joining us on Ticats Today.